Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be bringing you my first book haul of 2017. So like I mentioned at the end of 2016, I have been trying to limit my book buying for 2017 just because, like a lot of you guys know, I'm in school now and working full-time also, and my schedule is just not allowing for as much reading, so I was trying to limit my book buying because if I buy more books, they're just going to end up accumulating because I'm just not going to have the time to read as many of them. Between January and now, which is mid-April, I still ended up accumulating some books, but it's not so bad because it's almost 4 months worth of books and I have about 22, 23 books or so. A lot of these were free, a bunch of them I bought also used. And some of these I bought at like discounts, and then another couple of them I bought with coupons, so I didn't pay full price for any of these. None of these are necessarily new releases or anything, but yes, they are all new to me, and I just want to share them with you guys today. The first book that I ended up picking up back in January was actually a belated Christmas present from my friend Di. Like I mentioned in my last book haul in 2016, I did end up getting duplicate copies of a certain book, so then I had to end up exchanging one of those books for something else. So I ended up picking out Nightmare Inspector Volume 1. This is the first volume in a manga series that Di has talked about and recommended, and she wanted to get this one for me for Christmas, so I just ended up getting it a little bit later. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this one and to get into actual, like, manga series and everything. I'm not sure exactly what it's about. I know she recommended it in one of her monthly recommendation videos and it sounded really interesting, so I put it on my wish list. But since then I've kind of forgotten, so it's okay. I want to go into this one blindly and kind of enjoy it for what it is. And I ended up picking up The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is supposed to be a YA series kind of comparable to, I think it's Criminal Minds. So I know Jordan from the Jordan Journals has done a review on this entire series and she's loved it, and I want to get into more kind of YA mysteries and stuff. I'm excited to get into this series eventually. Maybe I'll pick it up this summer. We'll see how this goes, but it's fairly short, so I feel like I'm going to get through this one pretty quickly. Then I ended up grabbing a copy of The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith. This is the second book in the Cormoran Strike series. I haven't started the series yet. I'm hoping to start it sometime maybe in the fall, like October-ish, and see kind of how that goes. That's like my plan, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, another one that I got super cheap and like a bargain discount price. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this series because I've heard really good things about it so far. Then the next book I picked up, I hauled sometime last year, but since then I ended up giving it away to a coworker who, this is like one of her favorite authors, and she was moving away. So I ended up giving her my original copy of this book because she hadn't read this series, and that is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. So I gave her the first one and the second book in the series, and I ended up repurchasing this one because I knew it was going to be a series that I was going to eventually want to read. So I found this one super cheap at Bargain Outlet for like $2. So yeah, I figured it was the perfect time to repurchase it and have it in my collection. This is a YA post-apocalyptic kind of story about like people who acquire abilities and they all become villains, and the main character is trying to kind of like stop or get revenge on the main kind of villain who killed his father. So yeah, I've heard pretty good things about this one. My coworker actually ended up reading the entire series already, and she texted me after she left and told me she loved it. So I'm excited to get into this one eventually because I haven't read anything by Brandon Sanderson before, and I believe this is the only book of his that I own. Then the next book I ended up picking up was The Wind-Up Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but this is an adult sci-fi story about this like world where calories and stuff are currency, so food has become very scarce, and there are a lot of different types of food that are now have become extinct and everything. So I hear it's pretty interesting. It's gotten pretty good reviews, and I think it's won a couple of awards too. So I'm really excited to get into this one. For some reason, this cover just kept like calling to me when I was seeing it on the shelves at Bargain Outlet, and it was only like $2 or $3. So I'm hoping to get to this one this summer. This is definitely something that I want to check out fairly soon. I've been kind of in the mood for sci-fi, and I've been wanting to check out more adult sci-fi. So yeah, I figured I would, you know, read this one sometime this summer. Then I ended up picking up Big Little Lies by Liana Moriarty. I've talked about this book before in my last video when I was currently reading. Since then I have finished it and I've absolutely loved it, so I will talk about it more of my thoughts and stuff in my April wrap-up. Then I picked up The Alpha Drive by Kristen Martin. Kristen Martin is also a booktuber. She's got an amazing channel down below. She's a self-published author. She has a lot of different videos on self-publishing and how to write and everything, and I've just gotten so many ideas and so many great things from her videos and so many just awesome topics and stuff that she talks about with writing and everything. So she's definitely a great person to follow if you guys are kind of aspiring writers, and if not, she's still a great person to follow here on BookTube. But yeah, I picked up her first book in the series because it sounds really cool. It's supposed to be a mix between Divergent and The Matrix, and I'm really excited to get into this one and to finally read this book in her series, and yeah, and hopefully meet her at BookCon, because I am planning on going to BookCon in June. So yeah, I'm excited to finally have this one. Then the next batch of books that I picked up were all classics that I picked up either bargain priced or used. These were books that are authors that we kind of studied in school and studied portions of these books and everything, and since then I've kind of been interested in picking up the entire book and reading the entire books. One of them is Jonathan Swift, and I picked up Gulliver's Travels, and this also has a smaller short kind of essay called A Modern Proposal. Modern Proposal is the one that we studied in class, but since then I've kind of wanted to kind of read more by Jonathan Swift, so I picked up this kind of bind-up version of Gulliver's Travels and A Modest Proposal. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get to this one. It was super, super cheap, but I'm really interested in kind of getting into more kind of classics and everything, especially since we're studying them in school. Then I also picked up Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. We haven't studied Mary Shelley in school, but it's definitely an author that was kind of briefly touched upon and mentioned and everything. So I want to get into more of like classic gothic horror and stuff. So Frankenstein is definitely one that my teacher told me that I should definitely give a try. So yeah, I ended up getting a very, very cheap version of this on Thrift Books. So I'm excited to get into this one. It's definitely a lot shorter than I was imagining. For some reason I thought this was longer than what it is, but either way, I'm really excited to finally have a copy of it. Then I picked up The Romance of the Forest by Anne Radcliffe. This is one that we actually read portions of in class, and I really enjoyed and wanted to get into more, like I said, more classic gothic literature. So I ended up finding this one and picking it up. And I know it's about a woman kind of who goes to like this castle, and then some like mystery things start happening in this castle, and she starts finding secret passages and stuff. So it sounds really interesting. I'm really excited to finally read the entire one, and this is another one I'm trying to get to a lot of these classics throughout the summer so that I can read these and then be prepared kind of for next semester when we talk about more classics and stuff, and I feel like I need to be better read on these types of books because it's obviously my major, it's what I'm studying. So yeah, I'm excited to finally have this one, I guess. Then I picked up The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. This is definitely a shorter book than I thought it was going to be. This is more like a novella, like it's really, really tiny, and it's another classic gothic literature about just like normal classic gothic literature things. So yeah, another super cheap one that I'm hoping to get to at some point. So yeah. And then the book that I'm probably most excited for all of these classic gothic literature ones that I've picked up was The Monk by Matthew Gregory Lewis. Now this is about a man who's a priest and kind of is visited by this demon, and his own kind of ambitions and feelings for like self like praise and stuff start like overtaking him and everything, and he starts like committing these horrific acts of like raping women and killing people. And yeah, this is probably my favorite one that I studied in class, and it's definitely probably the first one that I'm going to get to this summer of like this batch of classic literature, because I definitely want to read the rest of this one. I heard it's pretty good. It's definitely very gruesome, definitely on the darker side from what I've heard and everything, but I'm excited to finally have a copy of this one and check it out for myself. Then I also ended up picking up Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I've never read anything by Jane Austen before, but like I mentioned in my last video, I am doing my last kind of big paper in my English literature class on Jane Austen, so I figured after reading her like story in our textbook and studying on her, I was going to want to read more by Jane Austen. A lot of people have read this one bunch of times. It's definitely well loved. I ended up getting this copy for like $5 at Barnes & Noble, which is amazing because this is a gorgeous, gorgeous edition. I was not expecting this to be so nice when I saw the picture on the website and then actually got it in like physical form. This is a beautiful, beautiful edition. So I'm super, super excited to finally have this one and get into it. And this is definitely one that I'm going to be reading this summer because I am going to be taking more classes with my one professor who does a class on Jane Austen. So yeah, I definitely want to be prepared for when I eventually have to take that class on Jane Austen and actually read some novels by Jane Austen. Then the next couple of books I ended up getting for free because my wife had this huge book donation given to her job, and she got a bunch of books for me that she thought I was going to be interested in. The first 4 books that she got me were 4 books in the Artemis Fowl series. I don't know much about Artemis Fowl or this series. I know it's middle grade. I know these are not in order. I know that's kind of like, I think this is like book 1 and 3 and 4 and 6 or something. Like, they're not even, I don't even have all of them. They're not even really in order. So yeah, I might end up picking up the rest of these. We'll see if I can get them super cheap from like Goodwill or something. I'll end up picking them up so that I can start reading the series, but I don't want to know much about them. But like I said, they're free. I can't say no to free books. And then she also ended up grabbing me the entire Aragon series by Christopher Paolini. This is definitely a series that I'm super, super excited for. I've been wanting to check out for the longest time, but just haven't gotten my hands on this series. So I'm excited to have the entire series, and it was free, and I'm super excited to get into it. I don't know when I'm going to read them, but I'm excited that I have them, and yes, free. I couldn't pass this up. And then I got some coupons from Barnes & Noble, so obviously I had to pick up some books from them, and yeah, I'm excited for the 2 books that I picked up from Barnes & Noble. The first one being It by Stephen King. As a lot of you guys know, there's a new movie coming out. I'm super, super excited to watch it if I actually end up having time to go watch it. But either way, I picked up the book. I've been wanting to read more stuff by Stephen King. I've only read, I think, 2 books by him so far, 2 or 3 books by him so far, and I've really been wanting to check out more by him, so I'm super excited to have this one. It's super, super long. This is like 1,400 pages, and I ended up getting like the mass market paperback version, but it's like one of those really floppy mass market paperback versions, which I don't mind, and I like having something that's easier for me to carry around, so this is just like, it's smaller, it's easier, it's more convenient for me. So yeah, and I really liked this cover. Like, this is probably my favorite cover of It from all of the ones that I saw out there. So yeah, I had to get this one. I'm super excited to finally have this one, and this is definitely going on my summer TBR. The last book that I ended up picking up is probably one of the ones that I'm most excited about, and most likely one of the first books that I'm going to read this summer. Out of any of these other books that I have mentioned on this haul, this is probably going to be the first one that I'm going to read, and that is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I've never read anything by Neil Gaiman before. I know he's super hyped and really well loved here on BookTube. A lot of people have read his stuff and have raved about his writing and his storytelling and everything, so I'm really excited to finally have American Gods. I have a couple of friends in real life who really, really love Neil Gaiman and love his stuff and have really loved American Gods, so I'm really, really excited to have a copy of it finally. And yes, like I said, this is most likely going to be the first book out of all of these books in this haul that I'm going to end up reading. Most likely once school ends, I'll probably start reading this one because, yeah, I want to be able to have enough time to kind of delve into this one because it is a fairly chunky book. So yeah, I'm excited to have this one. So yeah, guys, it is it for all of the books that I've picked up within the first three and a half months or so of 2017. Let me know down below if you guys have read any of these, what your thoughts and feelings were on any of them. Thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.